Thomas! It's up for grabs now! Thomas!
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira!
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it!
Fabulous solo goal by pierre-emerick.
Good evening, everybody. Very, very welcome to another great episode of Monday Night Podcasts with Lev, Mo, and Tom.
Man, that was some intro. That was.
Also, I just want to say very, very welcome to everybody who's watching on Mo's channel. So, very, very warm welcome. This is something that gets broadcasted through both channels, just in case you're wondering what this is. Right, so let's start. We've got a lot to get through to tonight. So, just your thoughts on the game, and Tom, we'll start off with you.
Oh, wonderful! Yeah, what weren't great, was it? It was pretty bad in the end. To be fair, I mean, I've kind of over the last few days, I suppose, contextualized the loss. Afterwards, I was pretty done in, to be honest, about the entire thing, because I've never been more confident going to Anfield than I have prior to that game. I went into that thinking that we weren't going to get bad 4-0 and that we may have had a little bit more of a chance than it seemingly showed in the actual game. Well, for 35 to 40 minutes, there was a lot to be positive about. And then as soon as we went a goal down, we kind of lost our heads a bit. And then the Tavares mistake obviously led to it kind of just fell to shit, really, didn't it? Let's be real. It really just fell apart. So I'm sure we'll go into the fun details of it, but it ended up being a little bit of a mess. Yeah.
Just before I come over to Mo, I normally start things off with a bit of happy and positive news, which I forgot to say. So happy birthday, Tom! I hope you had a good birthday, mate. And I hope you had fun.
Yeah, it was a good weekend. Other than that,
Shame
I put it in a box and just left it there and just ignored that.
All right, cool. Mo, what about you? What was your thoughts? You went to the game, didn't you?
Yeah, I was at the game, and you know, I think when Tom mentioned the word context, I think that's absolutely key. You have to apply context to this result, because if you don't apply context to this result, 4-0 is unacceptable, isn't it? You know, the manner of the defeat, the mistakes that we made, how sloppy we were. I mean, even 1-0 isn't exactly acceptable. You know, there has to be an understanding, an idea of what we were trying to do to win the game. So we should all be able to just about understand what the plan was to win the game, to get something out of the game, for a 1-0 defeat to be acceptable. Clearly, you can lose 1-0 sometimes, have 20 shots on target, and say, do you know what, their keeper had the game of his life, and that context is okay. But we have to apply a much wider context to make this okay, and that much wider context is the fact that we have just come off a 10-game unbeaten run. So this isn't reflective, 4-0 away defeats aren't reflective of Arsenal. We've got a much better defence usually than what we let on today. They are light years ahead of us in terms of their journey with their current manager and that sort of thing. And I have to apply all of those contexts to keep myself sane about it, because, I was really, really disappointed with the margin of victory and the mistakes and the sloppiness in the second half. And even up to the point we conceded the first goal, I thought to myself, okay, look, that first half wasn't great. We didn't pose much of a threat. I didn't really understand what we were trying to do to win the game, but at least we can try and stay in the game if we defend that sort of like, not even well, but doggedly. If we defend that doggedly. But that all went out the window the second half, which I was very frustrated about. And I guess we can try and explore why that was, what the reasons were. But yeah, disappointed by the margin of victory overall.
Okay. Lev?
Don't know what else to say to that, really. Both the guys before me, covered most of everything. The fact of the matter is, the most disappointing thing for me, everyone keeps talking about context, and it was the loss. It was how we lost. More than anything. And what I was looking for from that game yesterday was, what type of Arsenal are we currently? Are we dogged enough to stick in there and, mix it up with the better teams, still hang in there and maybe try and grab a result of some sort or fight back? But in the first 30 30 minutes, 35 minutes, I was actually pretty impressed with the way we defended. We looked like we were defending for each other. We looked like we were enjoying the defending aspects. Ramsdale kept us in it. There was some good last-ditch tackling and blocks and all of that sort of thing. Okay, maybe we weren't really doing that much going the other way, but that was overall throughout the entire game. The midfield, we could talk about it all day long, really let us down throughout. But the disappointing aspect for me is how we sort of capitulated. We went in half-time. There was a bit of a hoo-ha before. I'm sure you want to touch on that in a bit. They went in at half-time, had their chat with their manager. Our managers had a chat with our team. Second half, when they came out, two different sides, and ours was for a worse reason. We were a worse side. It was like the likes of Lokonga and people like that. Lokonga and Tavares. They switched off second half and it just got worse. So it was the capitulation, it was the way we lost that bothered me more than the fact we lost.
Okay. For me, I thought it was a bit of an eye-opener for some people, because we ran a poll on our Twitter before the game, and it was three options: Arsenal win, Liverpool win, and a draw. And I think about 45% thought Arsenal would actually win that. And the rest was draw and Liverpool. So this was the biggest percentage, which I did think, why would somebody think we're going to go and get a result at Anfield? I was not sure about the game plan and I was speaking to Lev about this, and I said, well, listen, Aubameyang's strength, and one thing he's good at, is if you play the ball through, he's going to use his pace, which admittedly he hasn't got a lot left, get to the ball, and he will finish. Right? Aubameyang is not going to get you header. He's not going to offer you physicality. He's not going to put his head on the ball, and he's not going to mix it in, especially against Van Dijk and Matip. So he was pretty isolated and lost. The only person who was going to feed the ball through for him would have been Emil Smith-Rowe, and he's playing left wing. So I didn't understand that. I would have thought maybe a back three would have been more suited. He should have maybe brought El Neni on a bit earlier just to shore up midfield, because our midfield was non-existent. And I'm saying El Neni because he was the one that was available on the bench. So, yeah, that was my thoughts on the game. And there's points that I'm going to come to now. There's two narratives that has come out of this game. So one is that it wasn't good enough. It's not acceptable. We should have gone there. Arteta out. He is rubbish. How come Brighton can go get a draw? How can West Ham beat Liverpool? We can't with a better team. This is Arsenal Football Club. We shouldn't be expecting anything less. On the other hand, there are people saying, and I said this on the last show that we did together, and that this is, and I use the word free hits because apparently this has become a bit of a thing with this. And Arsenal are not expected to go and beat Liverpool. They just need to go there and just turn up and then see how it goes and put in a better performance. And I didn't go to the game, Mo, but apparently there was quite a lot of discussions and heated arguments amongst Arsenal fans with regards to these two topics. First of all, I just wanted to see if you saw any of that. Second of all, where do you stand on this? Can you understand? Because I know you're more leaning towards the bet that says, well, this, on the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. We're still fifth. They're better than us. They have a better manager. If somebody told us after first international break we'll be fifth, we would have taken it at the time. I know that's how you look at it, and probably a bit of me as well. But can you understand the other side?
Well, the first thing is that I didn't see any arguments or altercations between the away fans actually at Anfield. I was seeing some stuff online, people taking exception to the term free hit and that sort of thing, but nothing actually at the ground. The away fans, as usual, were great. We were supporting our team even though we were getting battered. And yeah, look, in terms of the sort of context, and you're saying we're still fifth and all of that sort of stuff. I mean, I don't even necessarily just think that. I really, really, more than ever at this point in time, respect the whole spectrum of opinion on Arteta, because you can put out any statistics you want to fit your narrative right now. I really feel like it's very easy to say, look, there has been improvement and to show that with statistics. And I really think that there's, it's very easy. The latest thing that's done the rounds on social media is the sort of where we rank in terms of shots and this and that. And we're like 14th, 13th, 15th. That's really average and below average, in fact. So I think, yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one right now to have sort of a balanced view with people. But yeah, no, I don't know, man. I didn't see fans getting upset with other fans. What was the second part of your question? Because that was the first part.
Second part is, which side of the argument are you, and can you understand the other side? I know you normally have a very balanced approach to things. Because
so,
they both do have an argument.
Yeah.
It's just who can argue it better, if you like.
Yeah, exactly. So as I said, like I do actually see the whole spectrum. There's some occasions where, let's say, a Liverpool fan at the start of the season who wanted Klopp out, I'd be saying, come on, this is nonsense. You know what I mean? Like there's no opposite side of the spectrum that you can say that's sensible. But with the Arteta one, no, people can really make a good case for it not being good enough. And I see that. But what I'm focused on, and the reason why I'm not kind of shouting, you know, he needs to go, not that I'm that sort of person anyway, but why I wouldn't be doing that is because I really truly believe in my heart of hearts that we have seen improvements this season. So whilst we are improving and whilst there's positive signs, I don't think that's the right time to get rid of a manager, because you need to see how far these positives can go, how much he can improve, where he is on that journey. If we were declining, then yeah, of course, like you want to nip that in the bud, but why do you want to nip the improvements in the bud? So on that basis, I'm saying overall in Arteta's career at Arsenal, it hasn't been good enough, but right now there's improvements. He's surpassed expectation, especially given how we started the season. So let's just see what he can do. But long term, do I think he's the man? I always say this. Unfortunately not, but I do hope I'm wrong.
Are you worried about that result at all, Mo? Or it's just a bad day in the office, we move on?
Yeah, it's a very bad day at the office. But the reason why I'm not worried about this result is because this result came up against one of the maybe best 5 clubs in Europe, or the best 5 clubs in world football. Let's put it that way. If I said the top 5 clubs in the world, Man City, Liverpool, PSG, get in there, Bayern Munich, get in there, you know.
Let me rephrase my question. I didn't ask it properly. My apologies, right? Should we be worried about the way we approach this game? Tactically?
Yes, to an extent. And the extent is 10% of our season. Let's say, for example, we play 50 games in a season because we have a decent League Cup run, a decent FA Cup run, plus 38 games. We're talking about 45 to 50 games of a season. How many times do you come up against Liverpool away, Man City away, Chelsea away, like the top teams? It's not very common, right? It's not. So you do it 3 times in 38 games in the Premier League, and then you might get them once or twice in a cup competition if you get far enough. So yes, we should be worried about how we approach this huge game away from home against very difficult opposition, but that's not a problem we're going to have 90% of the time. And that's my point here about the context, that overall Arteta will see us improve this season if he carries on how he did in the last 10 games. It's against teams like this that, yeah, we're going to come unstuck in a very, very bad way, but we don't have this game every single week, and we need to see game on game and season on season improvement in these games as our squad gets better, as our squad gets more mature, as we become a stronger team. So right now, no, I'm not overly worried about this game because it's a rarity. Liverpool away, City away, Chelsea away, etc.
Thank you very much, Mo. Before I come to Lev, we'll see you all in the comments. Thank you for being here. Please hit the like on the video, subscribe to Arsenal Lounge, Mo's channel, Mo Haider, and Tom, the Gooner Talk TV. Don't forget, tomorrow, 1:30, we're going to have a transfer special with Fabrizio Romano, and we're going to talk to him about Arsenal transfer plans for January, and I'm going to ask Mo and Tom at the end of the show their thoughts on this. So make sure you join us then. Lev, what about you? Which side of this coin are you?
Well, look, I think we've always tried to get behind Arteta on this show. You know, I thought when he first came along, he spoke very well. He was saying all the right things, and we did see some improvement. We've had sticky spells, and then we've started to see some improvement again based on the signings that he and Edu have brought in. So I'm not going to judge on this one result because I think it will be ridiculous. I am disappointed at the way we lost. I am concerned at the way we approached the game, and I'll tell you why. I think we tried to play the high press game against Liverpool, who are better at playing the high press game than we are. I think by us playing the high press game, we gave opportunities to leave spaces in behind defense who were pushing up, being aggressive, trying to catch. You know, you saw Ben White doing it. You saw Tavares doing it. They're all pushing up high and they're all trying to pressure. But when you have players like Salah and Mane and people like that whose strengths are running in behind, I think that was the wrong way to play. People have mentioned to me the West Ham game and how they played Liverpool, and I asked them this question: do we have an Antonio type striker? We do not. Antonio defends from the top and he causes a lot of pressure and a lot of problems for defenders, a lot of uncertainty, and you know they play a different way to the way we play at the moment. So to try and hit me with the West Ham story doesn't work. So yes, I am concerned the way we approached the game. I think we would have been better off using our strengths on the counter, sitting back a little bit further back, so that, you know, they don't have that space in behind to run, and then try to take them on the break. These are things that a manager on the job, you know, learning on the job, we'll see. He'll make mistakes. It's like when he rose up against Klopp and made, you know, gestures towards him, and you know, he was heated based on a challenge, I think it was by Mane, suggested it was an elbow. Now, the whole thing we're told as you know, when we're going away to games, is the thing you want your team to do is go there, silence the crowd after 20-25 minutes, and then start to edge your way back into the game. Now, at that point, we were still 0-0. We were defending pretty well. And, you know, that moment there for me changed the heat of the game, the tempo of the game. And that, again, is a little bit of an experience by a manager, because, you know, he should have maybe used his head over his heart and realized that actually getting the Anfield crowd behind Klopp and the team would work against us, and it kind of did. So there are signs there he's still learning on the job. I'm not going to make a decision based on this one result. You know, as Mo said, we have seen some improvement. We did go into this game a lot more confident than we had gone into others, and I think Arteta would have gone in the same. And you can't really argue too much on the team he picked, because we could have just as easily have argued about, you know, changing a winning side, for example. So there are little things. I don't think we're utilising Smith Rowe right, putting him out on the wing. He should be more central and being able to dictate things and, you know, run and commit defenders. There's a few things he could tweak, but making a decision on this, I'm not going to. At the moment, we'll see how it goes. It's more about our response to this and how we bounce back. If we bounce back into winning ways and carry on doing the job against the other teams, we could always argue that this was a bad office against one of the world's best teams.
Okay. Before I go to Tom, can you kindly read out the super chat?
What's that? Is that rupees? Does anyone know? Yeah. Oh, right. 100 rupees from Akash Thrift. Thank you for your support, bro. Just an opinion. I think Liverpool also improved their midfield. There were not many gaps to exploit a counter-attack like Brighton West Ham game. Yeah, our midfield was terrible yesterday, by the way. Non-existent.
And I have to say, watching it live, Thiago Alcantara, you know, whilst I don't think that he's hit the heights since he's come into the Premier League that I thought he would, he was flawless.
We don't have a player like that, Mo, do we? Someone that could get the ball with their back to players and be able to be comfortable with it and transition it. We don't have that.
Not many teams do, though.
Go on.
Sorry, go on.
No, go on.
Yeah, he just did not give the ball away once. He's just unbelievably tidy and just, you know, it was visible in the stadium just how good he was. But their midfield was really, really good. So valid point there on the super chat.
Okay. I see quite a few people in the comments. You're talking and you're asking questions. The last 15 minutes, I promise you, we'll give you opportunity to put your questions towards Tom, Mo, Lev, or me, and then we'll try to answer as much as possible. Tom.
Yes, mate.
Where do you stand on this argument?
I don't think we learned a lot from the game in regards to kind of where we are in context to Liverpool. Like we knew we were miles off Liverpool, and that's kind of what we saw. I do disagree in some of the points raised about kind of how we set up, because I think I watched West Ham go for Liverpool in that game that they won at the London Stadium, and I don't really have too much of an issue in the way in which we set up, because I thought to get anything at Anfield, you're going to have to score, because there's only one team that has stopped them scoring at least 2 goals this season, and that's Chelsea. I mean, even West Ham and Brighton conceded 2 in their games. So if you want to get something from Liverpool, you have to attack, you have to score. And that's probably not going to happen if you go, say, a couple of goals down. Brighton were very, very lucky to not go in 3-0 down in their match, and were very fortunate to get back into their game. So I didn't have too much of an issue with that. It was more of how we reacted when we went the goal behind that I had the issue with. Like, you concede from a set piece, it's unlucky, yeah, but you got to keep your head up. And then obviously Nuno Tavares just makes that silly mistake, and all of a sudden the heads just go completely and you just capitulate and fall apart. That was more what I had the issue with. I think Mikel Arteta, the way he sets his team up, isn't actually the issue with him as a manager as much as it say used to be at the start of his tenure. I think it's his in-game management we look at as the main kind of issue with him. His inexperience to tackle problems put to him by a side during games is more of the problem. I think we had some ridiculous stat about how we hadn't won after going behind in so long. We haven't really been able to do that under Arteta all that much. When we concede first, we don't tend to really turn things around. We usually either draw or lose those games. So it is about, that's the big kind of criticism of Arteta is how we deal with games when we go behind. But as I said at the start of the show, contextualizing this match, I saw a lot of people that kind of are very much Arteta out come out the woodwork after the game. Now, I'm still very much on the fence with Arteta, and I'm quite like Mo in the sense that I think that we've made progress. But in the long term, do I see us getting back to being title challengers or Champions League competitors under Arteta? Probably not. Do I see us getting into the top 4? I think this season's shown that there's the potential under Arteta to get back into the top 4. But I don't think he's the long-term success story at Arsenal by any means. I don't think he's got the experience to be that. But if after the Liverpool game, the rhetoric is that to come out and go, Arteta out now, he's a rubbish manager, blah, blah, blah. I think that probably undermines your position more than anything else, because you have to look at the last 10 games and think, well, we're making progress in this area. Arsenal were always a team that made some silly mistakes in the past, and defensively were pretty poor. And he's addressed that. He's addressed that really, really well. The issue with Arsenal and Arteta is that we can't score that much at the moment. Our creations really suffered because of the work done on the defence. If you actually look at it, 4 of the back 5, including the keeper, are Arteta signings. Both midfielders are Arteta signings, and they're very solid, seemingly, other than that game yesterday Saturday when we capitulated. They're all of his players. You look at the front line, Xhaka and Smith Rowe obviously come through the academy, and then you've got Lacazette and Aubameyang that were here prior to him. Now, is it a good thing to turn around and say, well, he needs all of the players to be his players before he succeeds? No, because you look at Thomas Tuchel coming in at Chelsea and winning the Champions League with the players that were there. That's not an excuse for Arteta. He should get more from the players that are there. But it is certainly a reason to try and explain why maybe we're struggling in an offensive sense under Arteta, because the players that he's got at his disposal weren't necessarily the players that he either wanted or signed. I'm not saying he doesn't want Saka or Smith Rowe. I certainly do, and I think he's actually improved both of those players. I think the Smith Rowe Lev, I think his future lies centrally, as you're talking about. But I actually think right now, I mean, he scored 3 and 3 in the last 3 games in the league before this one, playing on that left-hand side. I think he can play there, and I think he's certainly added something to his game from a goal-scoring standpoint. But I think in the future what we'll see is, and I think you're seeing that with the links to kind of wide players at the moment, that the future for Smith Rowe is probably centrally. But yeah, I do find it quite funny. I think, just to sum up, I think it is quite funny that people have chosen this game of all games to come out of the woodwork on Arteta, and people throwing like, well, Brighton got a result, West Ham got a result. It's the Premier League. Teams get wins over teams all the time. Bayern Munich went and lost 5-0 to Borussia Mönchengladbach. Big teams lose games, they drop points. Just because those teams got points doesn't necessarily mean that's an argument in this sense. It's not. But
yeah. You know,
I mean, Tom,
can I just a few things I wanted to mention, right? The first one, people say, oh, but Brighton and got a result there. West Ham and got a result there. When you're picking things just to support your narrative, you got to ask yourself, the example that you're choosing, is that because you want to support your narrative, or is that reflective of what, like, the general truth? The reason you're picking Brighton is because it doesn't happen very often. You haven't got a lot of selection. Brighton and West Ham, what else? It's really, really easy to turn around and pick the one or two examples that suit your point. But obviously Anfield is a very, very hard place to go to. And these are anomalies. You'll see over the course of the season, not many teams are going to go and do that. And yes, every season there will be 1, 2, 3 teams that might go and get a result there. But it's not easy. And I don't think it's necessarily fair to just say, oh, just because Brighton happened to be the team this year, that Arsenal can be bashed on that basis. The other thing, so that's kind of a slight defense. The other thing is that what disappointed me about the game that I didn't mention was that when you look at how West Ham got joy out of Liverpool, it was corners. And now it doesn't really matter whether it's corners or set pieces. What we're doing is saying, let's give Alisson a tough time. Alisson, even on his Instagram story, days after that West Ham game, he tweeted a picture of him catching a ball. I can't even remember. It might have been on international duty. And his caption was, "It's not difficult when you're not fouled," or something like that. He was making reference to the fact, yeah, I can claim a ball, but I was being fouled in that West Ham game. If it's living in his head days after that West Ham game, I want to see us target him. Now, this isn't rocket science. This is a sort of tactic that can be applied at the highest level or Sunday league, but it's just effective. And you do see it at the highest level. You do see people disrupting the goalkeeper. I didn't see that from Arsenal. In fact, what I did see, I think it was a set piece coach, and you don't see this every week. It's usually the manager in the technical area. At Anfield, if you notice, the set piece coach was coming out into the technical area at times. So he was obviously very involved in that element of the game. Now, it really disappointed me that on some of the set pieces that we got, we didn't just put the ball in there. Aerial balls, pressuring Alisson, letting him know he's going to be up against it. We tried to be quite clever with it. This was the one game where I just thought, just do what West Ham did. And we didn't do that. So I felt like that was an opportunity to test Liverpool, and you don't get that opportunity very often.
Yeah, you see, this is what I was. It's funny you say that, because this is similar to what I was about to say before we came in.
It's not. He's just saying that. He's just saying that to make himself look good. He's just. You didn't like that, did you?
Anyway, sometimes I just think with Arteta, it's one plan and one plan only, right? I remember when Arsene Wenger was at Arsenal, we had a good team. The thought process was that, listen, let's go out there, do what we need to do and do it well, and we'll get a result. Don't worry about the other team. Now, I think sometimes he's trying to do the same thing, but his team is nowhere near what Arsenal used to be. Because, as you said about this goalkeeping situation, surely you would look at things like that, right? And you would tweak things around. You don't go the same lineup, but just change a couple of players around, go to a place, Anfield, very difficult, try to press Liverpool, and then try to play out the back, right, against a team that probably the best in Europe when it comes to pressing, not give good protection to the defense, have a very, very young guy in there who have clearly struggled, play Emil Smith for a while. I think he should have adopted a lot more to this game. And that's what concerns me about that. There's this saying, horses for courses, It seems to me with Arteta that, let's go out there and do what we've been working on, and I'm sure we'll get a result. We don't react to the game's strength or to the other team's strength or weakness. And as you said, the goalkeeper situation, we should have picked up on it from the West Ham game.
Do you not think, Shaheen, though, that sometimes, like I remember under Emery, all we would do under Emery is focus on the opponent. Like that is all we did. And when we were under Emery, a lot of the criticism was, why can't we just focus on our own game? Why can't we just focus on making ourselves better and let the opponent have to deal with us, sort of thing, rather than going into every game and trying to analyse what they're going to do and tinker with each fixture? Like, I think there's a real danger of over-analysing this Liverpool game. I'm
not analysing it, Tom. I'm just saying there should be a balance. There should be a balance into what you're doing and look at who you're playing. Right? Liverpool, best team in Europe when it comes to pressing. Right?
Yeah.
So is it the best of ideas for you to start playing out the back from a defense that is just becoming together. They're having some good run. You've got a left back that is not your first choice left back. And as we did a show with Lev after the game as well, and I said, well, I'm not sure. I know this is Ben White's game to pick up the ball and drive through the midfield and get the ball up, but is it wise idea to do this against Liverpool? He did it a couple of times and he lost the ball both occasions. This is what I was saying in terms of balance.
I know. I get that. I just think that, like, and people talk about kind of the results against the big teams, but it's funny because like Arteta's got some of the best results away against big sides. Like we haven't won at Stamford Bridge since 2013. We haven't won at Old Trafford since 2006. Like we've done those things under Arteta, but
we're not doing that anymore. Do you agree?
We still played well. It's difficult because I mean the two games against the big sides this season at the start of the campaign, it was impossible to really analyse those games because we were lacking like whatever 7 or 8 of the players that we now have. The game against Liverpool, again, I look at the average age of both teams, and I think that played a big part in the game because Liverpool's team average age I think was about 28. And our average age is 23. Now, we've got some really exciting young players that are coming through and they're improving all the time. But in a game like this, when we went behind just before half-time and then an individual error cost us the second goal, kids are going to lose their heads. And you can turn around and say that, oh, well, we should have the experienced players or we should have a manager that's not going to allow it to happen. And you're right, and there is weight to that argument. But it doesn't negate the facts that we still have so many kids in this team and that their heads are going to go. I think that what's important is that if we were going to have a game like this, I'm kind of happy that it happened against Liverpool and that in the next couple of games against Newcastle and against Manchester United, they're the 2 games where we're really going to analyse this. They're the 2 games where you're really going to look back and go, did this team have the bottle to turn around after this result against Liverpool and get back on it? Or are they going to let their heads go again like they did when they conceded to Mane's header from the free kick and just blow it? Because if the next 2 games are arguably Arteta's the most important of his career so far.
How many times we've said that on this show, Tom?
But that's because we keep getting back to these points, don't we? Like we keep going, the next 2 games are the most important. He's still here, and we're in a position now. At the start of the season, I went, we're never going to be in a top 4 race. We're now in a top 4 race, and we're looking at that.
But I think the fact that we often come back to that and say the next few games are going to tell us everything we need to know, they're really important. The fact that we say that over and over again shows that the jury is still out. Because no one was saying that about Solskjaer. People were deciders on Solskjaer. No one said that about Pep or Klopp because people know they're the real deal. So until Arteta gets to a place where the consensus is yes or no, we will be saying this because that's just the reality of Premier League football. It's a results-driven business. And, the one other thing that I wanted to mention was picking up on what Lev said. Being at the game, often, you get so caught up in the emotion and the atmosphere. When Arteta got riled up on the touchline, I was, fully backing him. And I was like, shouting and everything like that. And you're just in that zone where you're fired up. After the game, a friend of mine got in touch with me and he said, should never poke the lion, like what was he thinking? And actually I thought to myself, I loved it at the time. But as soon as my friend mentioned that to me, I was like, yeah, he's got a really good point, And not only that, what came to my mind then, I remember, can't remember the footballer, but he was talking about the fact that he was they were playing an away game and their manager sent them out and specifically said to them, don't commit like a bad foul or something, or if you can avoid a crunching tackle, avoid it. Like he was actually saying to them, win the ball in sort of like a manner that's a bit milder whenever you can. Obviously, don't let a guy go through. If you need to put in the crunching tackle, do it. But the whole point that manager's instruction was don't get the crowd riled up. Now, none of us guys know what it's like to play in front of a crowd that size, yeah? And this is where I say anyone can talk about football, but in terms of real important intricacies like that, like how a crowd reacts to certain things, us guys can't relate. And that's why we need to kind of defer to what the professionals say. So when I really thought about it, I thought, was that helpful for the team, what Mikel Arteta did? Or actually, did it make it more of a boiler room atmosphere? Yeah, and in hindsight, I think, no, he shouldn't have done that. But all managers do it. All managers lose their cool. So it's not a huge criticism of Arteta. Hopefully he'll learn from that and not do it again. But I feel like the crowd or the fans are very, very split on this issue. So I'd love to know people in the comments. Do you think Arteta was right to give it to Klopp? Because a lot of people say Klopp is like a bit of a bully and he influences and stuff by doing all of this stuff, so someone has to stand up to him? Or do you think that actually Arteta made it harder for the team? And I'd love to know what you guys think as well on that.
Okay, well, let us know in the comments what you think. We've got about 260, 265 people watching, so please hit the like button, guys. It helps us. Comment on the video if you've seen this, if you know, on a later time. Subscribe, obviously, to Arsenal Lounge, Gooner Talk TV, and more Haider, their channel, and they will do great content. And don't forget, tomorrow 1:30, we're doing a transfer special with Fabrizio Romano. So join us then as well, and you can hear about Arsenal transfer plans for January. Lev, speaking of transfer plans in January, should we be worried about Aubameyang's form?
Look, the problem we have at the moment is if the midfield doesn't function the way it's supposed to function, the forward players don't function either. They don't get enough of the ball, and then he doesn't get enough of the ball. And that's what we saw.
How long have we been saying that?
Yeah, okay. Now, as I said before, people are making comparisons with West Ham and Antonio and what they did against Liverpool. But as I said, that's a totally different type of striker, one that we don't have at the moment. Some are arguing the case that, yes, Aubameyang is he's got a great record as a striker. You could say he was world-class as a striker, finishing-wise. However, does he suit the system Arteta's trying to play? Would we be better with somebody that could hold the line on his own and bring others into play and also cause problems in behind? Someone who's a bit of an all-in-one type striker. I am a bit worried about that. But yeah, I'm more worried about AFCON, the fact that he's going, that Partey will be going, the likes of El Nenis will be going. I'm more concerned what we're going to do in that period. We're already a little bit thin in those areas. I mean, look, we were talking about who would we have had come in. Lokonga and Partey not having the best game. What options did we have? You was talking about El Neni on the last show. Come on, we should be talking about better players to bring in that midfield area. So we're lacking as it is. We need to address that issue, in my opinion.
Can I just say, Lev?
Go on.
Just putting this out there. You're saying what options did we have? And you mentioned two positions, Lokonga and Tavares. Well, we had Tierney as an option, who had a storming international break. And I understand that would have been slightly harsh on Tavares, but equally, Tierney, I do think is the best.
Yeah,
player.
I mean, look, but they're two really good options there.
Yeah.
Do we have those like for likes in the centre, Mo?
But then the other one, who was the man of the match in our last game that was dropped for this game? Ainsley Maitland-Niles. And I wouldn't have ordinarily said that, but he won man of the match in our last game. And I think to myself, well, surely we're playing Tavares over Tierney because what he's done in previous games. So why does that not give consistent treatment based on the fact that he was man of the match and did so well in the last game? I would have gone with Maitland-Niles, personally.
Would you stick with Maitland-Niles? Would you happily and comfortably go into the next part of the season, December, January, putting all your hopes on the likes of Maitland-Niles and Xhaka, for example, in midfield? Would you feel comfortable going in against the bigger teams with that midfield?
No, we've only got one midfielder there in the centre that I would say I would confidently have in for the 38 games, and that's Partey. El Neni, Maitland-Niles, Xhaka, Lokonga, none of them would be plucked by another top Premier League team and plonked in their starting lineup for the 38 games. That's the reality.
So that's my concern, is those two areas, striker and defence, striker and midfield, what we're going to do. Because we're already short in that area. That's what my answer is, Shaheen.
Well, look, we're talking about the midfield position and that we're going to be short in January. But sometimes we forget that we actually have two decent midfielders out on loan, Torreira and Guendouzi, which I'm sure, maybe a Guendouzi next or Torreira next to Partey at Anfield, maybe our midfield would have looked...
Torreira. But Torreira's obviously not liked or not fancied by these guys here. Neither of them. Well, Guendouzi is the more informed midfielder out of the two from what I'm hearing.
You say this, right? You say this, but I'll ask you, right? So Torreira and Guendouzi. So you tell me El Neni is better than those two?
No, he's not. When did I say that?
No, I'm not saying.
No, he's not. He's not. No.
So then you have to ask the question: how come he's kept, but those two? Because I remember there was a bit of a hoo-ha when we signed Torreira. Do you guys remember? and he was doing okay.
He was a good player. Emery ruined him. Emery absolutely ruined him. It's like playing him at attacking 8 when he's a number 6.
I remember the first season when Torreira was playing at Arsenal. He was he was short, but he had a bit of bite in him, in midfield, and he was putting the tackles about. And
Renato Sanchez is the name that keeps coming up. Isn't
yeah,
it?
well, we're going to ask Fabrizio tomorrow about that as well.
I don't want him.
Do you know what? It's funny that people say that because he was great in the Euros, but
it's just he doesn't play, mate. He's injured.
I think he's
always
got
injured.
horrific injury record.
He's missed 71 games since 2016.
Wow.
It's ridiculous.
Lev, can you kindly read out the super chat?
Cliff, super chat, $4.99. Thank you for your support again. With one more experienced gaffer, we lose 2-1 or might even draw. Mikel watched ESR Uber Saka stink up the place and did nothing. Pepe Martinelli in question marks. So he's suggesting that he would have been better off making those changes, I'm guessing. See, the problem is I'm having with what's being said there by Cliff, and I hear what you're saying as well, is the midfield weren't functioning. How did you expect the wingers and the strikers to function? I just didn't see that happening.
Well, I'm going to come to the same question I asked Lev. Should we be worried about Aubameyang's form?
Yeah, I am slightly worried. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, because it's that whole new contract thing. You see it time and time again in football. When players sign a new contract, it's like they're carrying the cash in their pockets on the pitch. They're just slower, not as sharp. But I do think Aubameyang will come good. I just have faith in the guy because of his track record.
In AFCON. He'll come good in AFCON.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But, go and look at the top highest goal scorers in the last decade. Aubameyang's up there in the top 10 with elite names. On that basis, I don't want to do him the disrespect of saying that he's going to be distracted by the new contract. He's going to take the foot off the gas. No, I have faith in him. I don't think he's a captain. I'm not like his... I don't think he walks on water or anything like that. But look, he knows how to get goals. And even yesterday, when through balls were made, they were made because of his good movement, and he did get on the back of it. It was very close. If it wasn't from a really good save by Alisson to actually pulling a goal back for us out of nowhere. It wasn't target. It looked like it was going in. So yeah, I have faith in him.
Okay, Tom, forgive me. Let me just deal with a couple of super chats. Lev. This is from our old friend Wayne.
Yes, Wayne. How you doing, bro? It was good to meet you finally. We met quite a few times on the match reviews and match reactions. He supported us for $20. Fan base falls victim to lazy punditry. He says every match was a test. Norwich to Leicester, past each one. Oh, those teams were awful anyway. Now Liverpool, the next test. RC told you so. Arsenal not good enough. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. This is what we're saying. It would be wrong to judge on that game. It was just the way we lost. Thanks for that one, Shane. Another super chat in from Aya to Thurka. Was it Aya to Thurka Gumeda? Was that right?
Aya Thurka.
Aya Thurka, or Aya for short. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your super chat. Tom was right though. Liverpool became the best in Europe because they only play their game and rarely adapt to the opposition. Thank you for that, bro.
Thank you, man. Much appreciated. Tom, should we be worried about Aubameyang's form?
No, because I don't think he's the long-term option for Arsenal anymore. It's a weird to say. Should we worry about it? I think you know what you get from Aubameyang. He's a finisher. He's not someone who wants to drop in and link up play. Arteta's trying to get him to do that more because that's what he wants from a striker. And Aubameyang's just not great at it because that's not his style of play. You then question and say, well, should Arteta be using a system which gets the best of his striker? Arguably, yes, is the answer to that question. If you've got a world-class finisher, play a system that creates lots of chances for him in the right positions, which we know is as close to the 6-yard box as possible. So that I think it falls more on Arteta with the Aubameyang situation because I think you've got a world-class finisher there and you should be working a system to create more chances for him rather than trying to force a striker to play in a way that he isn't necessarily suited to. So I think that falls more on him. With what happens in the future, and maybe you'll discuss this tomorrow with Fabrizio, and I would encourage you to ask him about the striker situation because I think that the the plan is certainly that they're interested in a striker, that there was interest supposedly in Dusan Vlahovic of Fiorentina, and that there could be an indication that the plans for the summer have been brought forward to January. And maybe they're looking at this season as a bit of an opportunity now and going, well, we didn't think we'd be in a race for top 4, but we've overperformed so far. And now we are. Should we double down and try and bring in someone that is going to be suited to what Arteta wants from a striker, and then try and get the best from our team in that sense? And that will obviously, you'd think, upgrade or improve the output that we've got in an attacking sense. As I said at the start, I think you've seen an improvement in defence because Arteta's got more of his own players in defence. Yeah. And if we add more of his own players in attack, we'll probably see an improvement there as well. So that's going to be the interesting one.
Oh, Shaheen, there was an interesting point there. Like, obviously, the whole Lacazette situation as well. Him and his agent must be looking at this and going, well, they're going to be really short when AFCON comes. They're going to be heavily reliant on me. Lacazette, who else are we going to rely on to do that, to lead the line?
But Lacazette
he's not going to go to... Yeah, but he's not going to leave
in summer, not January.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying, though. Look, at the end of the day, they don't have to make any deals right now. We need him more than he needs us.
Yeah, but I think if there was something that needed to be done on Lacazette, would have been done by now.
No, well, we're gonna. The fact is, we're going to be heavily reliant on Lacazette in that period.
We are, yeah.
But do we have to go to somebody else? Do we have to go out and get someone? Are we going to?
Well, I don't know, but we'll find out tomorrow. Mo, I'm not going to suggest for a second that you're a Sun newspaper reader, but have you seen this article that apparently we were happy to sell Pepe for £25 million?
Do you know what? I was wondering if someone was actually going to bring this up, but now that you've done it, Tom.
Tom, over to you, mate.
Have you? Tom, what's that?
You know what? Whoever started that rumor needs to have a word with himself. That's all I'm gonna say. You know what? What is wrong with journalism nowadays? Like, it's just so. I just can't trust anyone anymore.
I hate to be a killjoy about this, but do you know what? I feel for you. Like, Tom, you take it away, explain it. But actually, I feel for you because this, I guess, has been a little bit annoying or stressful for you, or frustrating or something.
But I mean, I create a lot of content for Arsenal YouTubers for about a week, so that you're welcome, people. I've paid for your ad revenue, but no. But basically, all this was it's obviously I write for Football.London. That's my day job.
Do you, Tom? I didn't know that.
Thanks, Liv. I appreciate the support as always. No, myself and my colleague Bailey Keogh wrote a piece, which was the idea of this piece. We do things called panel pieces where you have more than one writer on an article, and we went back and forth discussing kind of how much we would accept for Nicolas Pepe. So my argument was I would, and I think I got the idea actually from when we did the show. If you remember, I said I'd take.
Oh, blaming us now. You're blaming us.
I'm just saying it all spawns from you guys. But yeah, I said I'd take £25 million for Nicolas Pepe, and so that was the piece. And the headline was something along the lines of Arsenal told to accept £25 million bids because that was the opinion piece. It was me telling Arsenal to accept £25 million bids. What happened was that the Sun and the Mail both ran with a line that's then credited that piece that said. Well, I think it was the Sun that credited it initially. The Sun credited the opinion panel piece saying that Arsenal were willing to accept or were, going down the route of being open to accepting this bid, which there is no £25 million. It was an opinion piece about how much I would accept for Nicolas Pepe. And then I wrote another article about a few days later, which was another opinion piece talking about how the links to Dejan Kulusevski, who is a left-footed right winger who plays in the exact same position as Nicolas Pepe, and the other links to the likes of Noah Lang, indicates that, well, if we are in for all of these so-called wingers and ones that play in very similar positions to Pepe, you're not exactly like pulling up trees to suggest that, well, if we're linked to all these players, surely there's a bit of an indication there that maybe the club would be looking to move on from Pepe. It's not out of this world to suggest that.
Well, I don't think it's the last time that these guys will jump on a story.
No, it is part and parcel of it. And I think obviously I'm very new to this, and it was a case of now I'm seeing hundreds of Arsenal fans, thousands of Arsenal fans, completely misinterpreting this. I mean, I think it was Curtis Shaw and I watched Deluded Gooner, and both of them unfortunately fell foul of misinterpreting it as well. And I spoke to both of them afterwards as well. And I said to them, look, this is the context. I know that you haven't had a chance to properly go into it all yet, but I just wanted to kind of let you know. But
so you ruined the reputations of some other YouTubers as well, Tom, as well as putting out fake information into the media about our club and suggesting that we're selling him for 25. All checks are payable to Tom Canton for any moves involving Pepe.
Right. It's all right,
but clearly,
Tom,
he has to say, doesn't he?
We know how these things work. Don't worry about it. But guys,
do we? Have you ever done that?
Yeah, well, it's Tom. Tom is one of our own. It's all right.
But we see it with like football and managers all the time, don't we? We see them coming out on their own Twitters now saying this is nonsense, this is false, So, but that's just the British media for you. But I guess, Tom, is there anything you can even do to stop that happening in future?
Not really. I mean, I could have
stopped writing, Tom.
Stop. I could have reached out to the authors of those articles. I'm not going to name them on the show, but the Mails one in particular was a freelancer who a lot of people will follow on the Arsenal socials. I could have reached out and said, "Look, you've completely misinterpreted what I wrote, and consider redoing it." But if I did that for everyone that did it, I wouldn't be able to have time for my own day job. So I can't. It's just part of the game that I have to accept. That's going to happen.
It's okay.
So yeah.
Well, anyway, guys, just one thing more in the comments. Please, obviously, hit the like button. It's only 70 likes, and we've got about 300 and something people watching. So please hit the like for us. Obviously, subscribe to Arsenal Lounge, Gooner Talk TV, and more Haider YouTube channel. And tomorrow, 1:30, we're doing a special with Fabrizio Romano. Make sure you join us. If you want to put your questions in the comments, just put down who your question is for and your question. We'll put it to the guys. And we're going to do a quick prediction for Arsenal's next game. Mo, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, it was just going back to the Tom issue. I guess reaching out to people, you've got to believe, if you reach out to them, that they actually did misinterpret it rather than being calculated in what they were doing in the first place. So what's the point of asking someone not to do something if they did it intentionally anyway, I guess.
Yeah. Which is why I won't do it. So there's no point.
Cynic.
Well, quick prediction, guys. Lev, I think we've got Newcastle at home next. So prediction.
We've got Newcastle at home. Arsenal win, surely. I would say we'll come back with a bounce, something to prove. I think it'll make some changes. Tavares will be replaced for Tierney and a few others. I think we'll win 2-0.
I'm more after a quick scoreline.
2-0. What? So I'm not allowed to say anything, no?
No, because I want to go to the questions. Mo?
Yeah, I agree. 2-0.
Tom?
1-0.
I'll say 3-1 Arsenal. Right. So here we go. First question. King, Saint, Gambian, Gooner. Question panel. What kind of midfield would you go for? Passing maestro like Jorginho, Thiago, Rodri, or a more defensive midfield like Kesse, Basuma, Rice? Lev, do you want to start this off?
I personally think we need both. There you go. Said it. I still think we need both.
Mo?
I would go for someone to unlock Thomas Partey. I think Partey's got a really good passing range. So I would go for a specialist CDM, someone who can really break up the play and allow Partey to do his thing. So I'd go for like a Basuma type.
Tom?
Yeah, I agree with Mo. Someone who's a 6, disciplined, sits in, unlocks Partey. Simple.
Okay. Musty 2021. Arsenal's new formation seems to be 4-4-2. Are you happy with it? Should Arsenal strategize transfer around this formation? Lev?
I think we need to be more. We need to be adaptable. I can't just think we just sit with a 4-4-2 and that's it. I'm not happy with just being able to stick to one formation. I think we need a squad that's adaptable. There you go.
Okay. Mo?
I'm not convinced that we are decided on a 4-4-2, to be honest with you. I think that when we've done it, it hasn't exactly worked wonders. And I don't think Odegaard's just going to be a bench player for the rest of the season. Or I don't think Emil Smith-Rowe is going to drop out and Odegaard's going to come in and we're going to see Laka and Oba. And what's the point in doing that when we know Laka doesn't look like he's going to be at the club long term? We're not even sure about Aubameyang at the club long term. I think that we're going to see variations from Mikel Arteta, but he won't use 4-4-2 as his favoured solution.
Okay. Tom?
Yeah, I agree. I think that 4-4-2 is. I don't think it is a 4-4-2. I think it's a very loose kind of 4-2-3-1 with Laka playing at this kind of 10 position. So I think pick a way that you want to play, Arteta, and sign players that are suited to it is all I would say on it.
Okay. List of players you think will be gone by summer. Can I have one of each, please? Lev?
El Neni.
Mo?
Kolasinac.
Too many to pick. Too many to pick from.
You know, Mo, that's a bit difficult, isn't it? Tom?
Leno.
That's a good one. Leno. Yeah. I think Pepe. Here we go.
What, for 25 million?
Apparently. Question for Tom. We are fifth in league. How on earth people can say Arteta is not good enough? All the signings are doing great. Arteta is the best person to take us forward.
Because there's a lot. There's a lot still wrong. It's a very loaded question, but there's a lot still wrong, Amir. I think there's two types. There's two things you're seeing with the fans. I think you're seeing a lot of people that hate Arteta, and no matter what he does, I mean, I've already seen people in the chat who claim to be Arsenal fans that aren't, saying they want us to lose, so that Arteta goes, "You're not fans. You're not an Arsenal fan. You might as well go support that lot down the road if that's your way of thinking." And then you got the group that are just on the fence, like pretty much I am. That I just want to, I want to see Arsenal win. If we win, then it's right. But yeah, there's a lot still wrong that needs to change.
Yeah. Question for Mo and Tom. Mo, we'll put this to you. How much of an uplift is in form should we expect from? How much of an uplift in form should we expect from Man United and Tottenham?
Well, Man United, we don't have any idea. I've heard Steve Bruce linked. So if that happens,
only Man United would have Ollie all this season, and when Arsenal are going to play them, they have a totally different manager.
Yeah.
Do
you know what? And also, what I find really silly about it is that they've got Carrick, who straight away now has got Chelsea. Villarreal in the Champions League, a difficult game that they struggled last year in the Europa League. Then they've got Chelsea, then they've got Arsenal. If you're stuck with Ole for so long, I just would have gone with Ole for a bit more and said, right, you take those batterings, if that's what's going to happen, or you take those difficult games, and then let someone come in and go on a good run. So I don't think we'll see an initial upturn from United, purely because of their fixture list. I think it's very difficult. I don't expect them to win the next 3 games. And with regards to Tottenham, unfortunately, I think they will improve because they were bloody awful. But still, nothing to worry about with Tottenham. I think Tottenham's history and culture of failure is a stronger force than Antonio Conte's culture of success. So Tottenham will ruin him.
Another one for you, Mo. Ian Bruce. Thank you, Ian. I've seen you quite often in our comments. I wondered why we aren't challenging Alisson. We've left him in an acre of space. We must have been tactics not to press to the ball was played out. We discussed this earlier, Ian, but Mo, do you want to touch on that a little bit?
I feel like, in the first half, being at the ground, it struck me so much how deep we were, how early we were so deep, that if you then go and press that high up the pitch, you're leaving spaces, and I just don't think we had confidence to leave that space. And I think that confidence is why we were so deep so early. So I just think it was that. It was, maybe a bit of fear. And Liverpool do possess that fear factor. So I think that's what it is.
This one, Lev, for you, my question. Any chance you guys have Brother Ty on your show?
Oh, is that my question? That is the question you give me.
Actually,
all this time, and you give me a question that's just ridiculous.
I didn't read it. I just thought it would be a proper question.
Yeah, I'll give him a call later on.
Here we go. I'll put Maximus questions to you.
Oh, God.
Finding even more defensive players while not creating a single chance in the final third for the last 2 seasons. Sound like Arteta logic indeed. And
we were just
Lev,
talking.
Can you also? This is a question to
striker,
you,
weren't we?
Yeah, we were.
I swear, we just spoke about. What?
Lev, this was.
Can I answer one or what? No.
Hold on, I haven't finished.
2 years.
So this was his question for you. Also, Can you address this comment from Maximus as well, please? I hope Newcastle spanked us. Get this joke of a manager out.
See, this is what I'm saying, right? Now, Maximus, as I say, sometimes I agree with him, sometimes I don't. Controversial with some of his opinions. But come on. Firstly, we spoke about buying a striker. We were talking about, is Aubameyang's form worrying us? Should we be going out to the market to buy a striker? I swear we had that conversation. But then Right, you say joke of a manager, but what kind of a fan does it make you to want your team to lose? I say joke of a fan. So there you go. That's my answer to that.
Okay, Mo.
I think. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go on.
No. If you want to respond to that.
No, I thought you were going to ask me about Maximus's comment, and what I would say is that in terms of how serious Maximus might be with what he's saying, I think you just need to read his surname to gauge.
Yeah, we know what his name is, mate.
Right.
It didn't escape me, Mo.
This is for you, Mo, from Ion. Is there, in terms of squad strength, where do you rank us in the league? Going by this, would fourth be overperforming?
Oh, good question, actually. Would fourth be overperforming? Certainly Chelsea, Liverpool, City have got a better squad than us. Man United have got a better squad than us. So clearly I've already said 4. And on that basis, it would be an overperformance. Yeah, I think it's a really good question, actually, to contextualize things.
Okay. This one is for Tom. Come the summer, I think we should sell Odegaard and get
Gonçalves
from Sporting.
Yeah,
brilliant.
What do you think about the latter?
I disagree with Odegaard. I think he's a good player, and I think that he's going to improve. He's just obviously he's not playing at the moment. I like him. Pedro Gonçalves is a brilliant player for Sporting Lisbon. Really good goal scorer. Can play right attacking midfield. Can play behind the striker. I reckon he could play in the false 9 on his own. To be honest, he's that good. But he's already played in the Prem because he used to be. He went through the Wolves. You'd be surprised to know, as a Portuguese guy, he was at Wolves for a period, and then came back through and is now at Sporting. But yeah, he's a very interesting player and certainly one I would go for.
Thank you.
Look, on that, he's brilliant, but I would have been very happy had we signed him instead of Odegaard, for example.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But now that we've got Odegaard, it's a bit, I don't know, can we really sell him and then do you have space in the squad for an Odegaard?
I think you can sell Pepe and you can bring in Pedro Gonçalves, to be honest, because he plays on that right-hand side. Yeah.
Fair enough.
From Lone Star Londoner, question, Lev. Since Arteta is staying until season and is the Europa League and return to Europe the minimum expectation? We do put comments up, you see, so it's not. I know you were earlier saying you don't put comments up. So, Lev, for you.
Well, I get actually a normal question. Thanks, Shaheen. It's a minimum. Top 6 is minimum, and then even that it will keep him in. It will keep him in the job. It will scrape it. But yeah, I do think that's definitely minimum top 6.
Okay. Guys, I went through as much questions as I could have. We've been going about 1 hour or so. So I just want to say thank you to you all who've been with us in the comments and you've liked the video. And if you subscribe, if you haven't, please do subscribe. Don't forget tomorrow, 1:30, Fabrizio Romano will be with us live so we can talk to him about January transfer window. Tom, last word.
Thanks for having me on, mate. As always, appreciate your time. Always a pleasure to spend it with you guys. You can find me tomorrow morning, every day, 8 a.m. on the Gooner Talk. Every day.
Yes.
There you go.
It's such verve.
Only
great word. Good band as well, actually.
Likes, man. I can't believe it. Not even 100 likes. Not even triple figures. That's
what
I want from the people. Just
Mo, I was going to tell you something. I forgot. I watched your show with Hugh Wizzy.
Yeah.
Right. And you guys talked about Harry Maguire's celebration for England.
Yeah.
How silly would have he felt after that Watford game?
Exactly that. And that was my point. On one hand, he's obviously not performing very well for Man United, as we just saw against Watford. And then when he's in a place where he actually performs really well for England, where people can't really criticize performances, and he's got a good track record of doing well in the tournaments that England are in. Why is he bringing all of that negative energy away and trying to prove a point to United fans based on what he's doing for England? It's really strange. So, the only link between your club and your country is for the England manager. That's the only way it should be linked. You can send a message to him for your club, but sending a message to the fans and then to go and have that silly celebration based on a goal against San Marino, and then you go and do that, I just thought that's why it was such a silly thing to do. And just in a comment in there, SK West Bank, yes, I've been to Highbury, but that's a funny.
I just think Harry Maguire is extremely overrated, and he's very, very lucky to be where he is. Anyway, your final word for this week, Mo?
4 more likes to go. Do me a favor, slap 4 more likes on there, and
Please do it, guys.
and I'm happy.
And Mo sings you a song.
Lev,
No
how
one
about
will.
you?
Well, I'm just listen. All I want us to do is bounce back from this, get straight back to winning ways. I think we will. I think it's a bump in the road. I'm looking forward to finding out a little bit more tomorrow on Fabrizio's show, and just thank you to everyone in the chats. It's been manic in there. Some of you need to take a chill pill, right? Some of you really do get too incensed, but like I'm looking forward to the show tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to our next game as well. I'm just happy to be talking about football again.
Okay, well, for me as well, thank you very much for your continuous support and affection for us. Thank you to all you guys who done super chat, much appreciated. And yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow at 1:30. If you got any questions you want us to ask, please send us a message on Instagram, Arsenal Lounge, or Twitter, Arsenal Lounge, and we'll try to put that towards him. Do you want to do the Bizzo, Lev?
Right, so loungers, thank you for joining us. Shame it wasn't a more positive chat after a win, but we'll be back, as I say, tomorrow, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Peace out. Let's do this, Shaheen.